Dear friends, welcome to our webinar dedicated to relocation to Cyprus. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, and I will try to give you lots of useful information and also be able to answer all the questions that you might have. Okay, so today we will talk with you. I will guide you step-by-step guide to relocate to Cyprus. And before we start, I will be very grateful if you can tell us where are you from. If you can tell us where are you now, so maybe during the webinar I will be able to pay more attention to give you specific cases regarding the people relocating from your country. But before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Anastasia Yianni, and I'm CEO and partner of Cyprus Sotheby's International Realty. I live in Cyprus for the last 20 years, and for 20 years, I've been working in real estate industry. I love it. I love Cyprus. I love property. I'm passionate about property, so I will be very happy to share my experience with you and to share my knowledge with you. Sotheby's International Realty is the largest real estate brokerage network in the world. We are their representative in Cyprus, and we are very happy to be part of this global community because it allows us to share our local knowledge globally. Our company is based on 4 important pillars. It is knowledge, efficiency, ethics, and style. So everything we do, we go based on these 4 pillars, which is very, very important. The company, we work all over Cyprus. We work both with new properties and also with resale properties. We have excellent property collections in every city, and based on your requirements, we can find you properties with the investment properties. Everything we do passes strict due diligence procedures, and we are very, very multilingual. What is important to know that we are a fully licensed company, and we are working with an excellent advisors and with excellent partners in legal, accounting, and other areas. So today, we will talk about many important things. The first thing, let me guide you through the webinar. So we will talk if Cyprus in general is for you. There are so many wonderful places to relocate. So why would you consider Cyprus? So is Cyprus for you? What is the lifestyle to expect? As we are real estate experts, I will share with you real estate statistics, so you will understand what is happening with real estate market, how is market feeling, what is happening there. We will also talk about legal matters and about permanent residency, both for European clients, investors, and for non-European. As moving is such an important and such a big question, we will discuss with you what questions do you need to ask yourself before buying, what is important to consider, and of course, we'll cover procedures, costs, and we will discuss with you. I will give you some real cases, examples of properties, and some case studies why people were buying these type of properties, and we'll cover a little bit how to choose the right real estate agents and why do you need us. Okay, so let's start. And I will definitely leave some time for questions and answers, but please feel free, even during the webinar, if you have a question, just type it in the chat and I will leave some time at the end and I will try to answer as many questions as possible. If it is not going to be, if we don't have enough time, because I will try to finish in 1 hour, not to delay you too much. So if we don't answer your questions, we will definitely contact you and answer your questions. So I promise you that all your questions will be answered. So let's start from the very beginning. Is Cyprus for you? So generally speaking, if you are worried about your family safety, and here we are talking about safety, the health safety, the environment, everything. If you're dreaming about country with mild climate and no pollution, if at the same time you still want to live in Europe, if you're tired of everything and just like want to have a bit more healthy, relaxed lifestyle, maybe you're also considering that change and you're worried about your children's future and their education. Or maybe we are having more financial questions. Maybe you're worried about the safety of your business. Maybe you plan to expand your business. Maybe you want to consider the jurisdiction with the better tax structures and where you are, you pay too much in taxes. Or maybe that you just simply want to diversify your assets. So if you answered to a yes to any of these questions, then Cyprus can definitely be a solution. So if you answered yes, at least to one or two questions, then definitely Cyprus can be a very good offer and very good consideration. If we consider with you, why would potential investors consider relocation to Cyprus? What are the drivers of the real estate market? And the main four drivers are as we show on this slide. This is, of course, the lifestyle. Cyprus Real Estate is a good investment. There is also a possibility to obtain a permanent residence status, so you can live fully legally in Cyprus, and it provides you a good hedging or a good asset diversification. If we start in the big strokes, what are the main 7 reasons why Cyprus is an excellent destination, or for some people like me, it could be a perfect destination? That Cyprus is very multinational and very multicultural. This makes it very easy for every person to feel comfortable, to adapt to a new country. You do not feel yourself a stranger. You do not feel an alien, no matter what language you speak. The country is extremely friendly. So the first, of course, it's a friendly multinational environment. The infrastructure of the island developed rapidly in the recent decade, so the infrastructure is excellent. It means that when you're moving, and if you're moving from Europe, you will still feel European safety and comfort standards. We have very good private and public education system and safe atmosphere for children. And what we noticed recently, that many families choose Cyprus exactly for that reason. They want to provide better environment, better school, better psychological environment for their children. So this is one of the options. Cyprus has one of the best taxation systems in Europe. It is also beneficial business environment. Cyprus government is very business oriented, and we have a huge level of very well trained and educated professionals to start working for you. Cyprus permanent residency program is simple, quick and straightforward, and also it is quite easy to buy and rent properties. The legal system is very straightforward. So if we talk about lifestyle, what are the options? The first and foremost is, of course, the climate of Cyprus. Cyprus has 340 sunny days per year. And even like now for March, we're having extremely cold weather. It's like now my thermometer shows plus 14, but for middle of March, it's very cold, but still it was lovely and sunny. We have no we have no production, no industrial units, so there is no pollution. And environmentally, it's one of the best options in the world. We have cleanest beaches in Europe, and you have nature everywhere. So if you want to live close to nature, this is a very good solution. As I mentioned earlier, local people are very hospitable. You do feel welcome. And I think it's an extremely important consideration when you move to a different country. Excellent healthcare. The pandemic of the last 2 years showed that Cyprus healthcare can sustain the pressure. So you have these excellent health facilities. Cyprus has global connection. It's very easy to fly anywhere, whether you want to go to Europe, whether you want to go to Middle East, wherever you want to travel, the solutions are there. Legal system is based on the British system, so everything, all the agreements, all the legal documents can be done in English as well, and not only in Greek. English language is widely spoken. Now I can see that we have lots of people from Germany. More and more German speaking people are moving to Cyprus. So more and more it is becoming the language that is required. So I wouldn't be surprised if soon more and more facilities, more and more institutions will have German speaking personnel. Cyprus has modern bank and legal system, which makes, again, it's quite easy to understand. I would call it the best because there are lots of bureaucratic hurdles, but it is quite modern. As I mentioned earlier, the level of education is very high, and you have various options. You can opt for private schools, or you can go for public schools. Of course, public schools teaching is in Greek, so it could be an option if you have younger children, and public education is free for everyone. Or you can opt for English language education in the private schools. Cyprus is still very safe. So it is considered to be one of the safest countries, and if I'm not mistaken, the second small safest country. Cyprus has advantageous tax system. It has rich historical heritage, and if you haven't been to Cyprus, you do not feel it, but when you come, you would understand that even though the island is quite small, but every area has its own energy. There are so many beautiful places. There are so many historic and archaeological things. So every weekend you can do something different. Infrastructure is excellent. And in general, you have lots and lots of lifestyle opportunities. I'm not a tax advisor, so during the scope of our presentation, we are not going to go into details of taxation, but if you book the free consultation with us, we will be able to provide you more detailed analysis, and if necessary, we would introduce you to our tax partners, and they would be able to provide you more detailed consultation. But in general, if you look at the slide, you can see that we have lots of zeros, which when it is referred to tax is a good idea. So there is zero tax on passive income for non-domiciles. And this is important consideration because if you now move to Cyprus, then for 17 years, you are going to be classed as a non-domicile tax resident. It means that for 17 years, you will have 0% tax on passive income, 0% property tax, no inheritance tax in Cyprus. Pension tax is quite low, it's only 5%. Corporate tax at the moment is 12.5%, but there will be changes. And I want to mention to you how you become the tax resident. So to become tax resident, you need to spend certain amount of time in Cyprus. And there is a general rule of 183 days, but there is also a possibility to have a tax resident status if you stay in the country more than 60 days. Of course, there are very clean requirements, and if you would like to find out more, we will be very happy to provide information. Now, let's move to the real estate. Okay, so real estate in Cyprus has always been very popular. This, and also what is very important to mention, that in Cyprus we have a clear system of registration of sales contract. There is, as you can see, the source of this diagram is the Department of Lands and Surveys, where every property transaction is registered. In Cyprus, we have 4 areas: Nicosia district, Limassol, 5 areas: Nicosia, Limassol, Larnaca, Famagusta, and Paphos. And here on the diagram, you can see the trends, what was happening with the transactions around the years. And you can see, of course, that in 2020, we have a big drop because of pandemic, but 2021 showed a good increase. This year so far, January and February is very healthy. We have excellent amount of transactions, and in fact, January was one of the best months in property transactions. If we look at the price, which is important to see to understand where we are at the cycle, what is happening with the prices, what can we expect? Are the prices falling? Is it a good time to invest? Is it not a good time to invest? And you can see that we had quite a big drop of prices because of the financial crisis in 2013, which lasted for several years. And since 2016, we have a period of marginal growth. Now, of course, there are many speculations in the market what will happen, and I can see the questions here regarding the implications of war. There are lots of factors that can affect the real estate prices, and one thing for sure is that for new construction, we see huge increase of the construction costs. And when we have increase of production cost, of course, there will be the prices of new properties will be going up. We also see huge demand for rental properties. And again, we understand very well that when we have increase of rental properties, it pushes demand for real estate for purchase up, and demand and supply, that it always pushes the prices up as well. Again, for the purpose of this presentation, I'm not going to go into details about pricing and liquidity, but please have in mind that we have all the information about the liquidity and what factors affect the price of the property. So we will be able to share it if you would like to have additional consultations. If you can see about distribution of interest between the areas, of course, there is always big demand from foreign buyers for the seafront areas. As you can see, the winners are always Paphos area and Limassol. Larnaca is very popular. Famagusta is a little bit less popular for in the volume of transactions because it's more of a holiday destination. And Nicosia, which is situated in the center of the island, it is more of local interest. But still, there are lots of investment opportunities and there are lots of lifestyle opportunities. When I mentioned earlier why people choose Cyprus, there was one point about permanent residency, because it's one thing that you buy a property in any country, and another thing to understand how you can utilize it. Can you stay in this property legally for how long, and what are your rights? And here we need to understand that we have uh, differences. There are different procedures for non-European investors and procedures for European investors. So for non-European investors, we have excellent immigration program which is called permanent residency. Permanent residency program is aimed at people who want to stay in Cyprus, or maybe they consider it for the future, or maybe they consider it for their children. Maybe they want to have a base in Europe. So Cyprus is the country that offers lifelong permanent residency with the purchase of property. The investment threshold is quite low. It's 300,000 plus VAT, which is very important. There is no need for the renewal of the permit, and even more important, that the permanent residency status granted to the whole family. In fact, it is granted for 3 generations. It is granted to the investor, the spouse of investor, parents of both the spouse and the investor, and dependent children up to 25 years old. So again, you have this safety insurance for the whole family. There is no language exam, there are no medical tests, and at the moment there are no interviews. If you use this property and you're moving to Cyprus, then you stay with this permit without any limitations. If you do not live in Cyprus, then there is a requirement. You need to visit the island at least for 1 day every 2 years. There are no direct tax consequences, and the application processing period is quite fast. It's about 2-3 months. With COVID restrictions, we have about 3-4 months, but still it is very fast and straightforward, of course, provided that you fulfill the criteria. Where you fulfill the criteria of investment and you fulfill your personal criteria, which you will need to provide the clean criminal record and all the supporting documents. So you have a short timeline. The permit is valid for life. You need to visit Cyprus just once every 2 years, and it is issued for the whole family with the investment of 300,000. Okay, I can see the question from Hans whether the permanent residency apply for living partner from Indonesia. In Cyprus, you need to have a registration of partnership. It is called, you can either do the marriage certificate or it could be civil union. So if you have a civil union agreement, then your PR will apply, or you can put the PR, you can make your living partner from Indonesia as the main investor. But of course, we can discuss it in the personal consultation. Now, if you are European citizen, you know that in Europe we have 4 major freedoms, and one freedom is freedom to move, which means that you can live and work in every European country. However, you would still need to obtain the confirmation that you are now residing in Cyprus. In everyday terms, this permit in Cyprus is called yellow slip, because the permit that you are getting is actually, it used to be yellow, so it's stuck. Now we always say that we are having, it is for the yellow slip. So as you can see on this slide, all EU nationals need to do the registration with the local immigration department. There is a timeline that it has to be done, that you will need to do this procedure within 4 months of entering the Republic. What is important, and this is very important to understand, that when you get your yellow slip, immediately you get the right to legally work and live in Cyprus. And this is very important note, because with permanent residency for non-European, you don't get the right to be employed. Okay, so again, if you have questions for the permanent residency, please, you can see on top of the presentation, we have a red button, book your free consultation. You can fill the form and we will make a proper consultation for every occasion. Okay, so when you submit the application for the yellow slip, you have to be physically present. And what is amazing, that you get the permit issued same day. There are some documents which are not really the difficult documents. The most important, actually, you need to show the residency tenancy agreement, and you need to have statement of a bank in Cyprus with at least 1,000 euros available. What is extremely important, and it's good news, that in Cyprus now we have a good healthcare system. The government health insurance policy, which is called Yianni. So if you get yellow slip, it means that you can register with this government medical system, provided that you actually live in Cyprus and you have access to all the medical facilities under this medical system, which are actually, guys, it's just amazing. Before we had this system, we would pay about 30 euros for every visit to the doctor. Now you would pay 6 euros. So this good news. So again, when we send you information and presentation, bear in mind that we have a separate information for non-EU residents, and we have separate procedures for EU residents. Okay, now we are moving to the next step. And now let's imagine that you do your homework and you decided that, yes, actually Cyprus sounds interesting, so I want to move forward. And then you also think, okay, so Cyprus sounds good, taxes sounds good, education good, etc., etc. So now you are moving to another step and you want to start thinking about buying property or renting property. Because as you remember, one of our values is efficiency. We always try to be very efficient for you. And that's why we prepared the checklist of things to consider. And we have this checklist, which we'll be happy to send to you. But if we break into the clusters, the first thing which is important is like to understand, why do I want to buy in Cyprus? And I will explain you why it is important. Because let's say if you want to buy for investment, or you're buying as a holiday home, but the rest of the time you want to generate income, we would advise you specific type of property that would generate better income for your purposes. If it's a holiday home, it should have different requirements or things to consider. If education of children is important, then we would guide you about the schools. Maybe we would explain to you, we would connect the search of properties, being close to school, etc., etc. Again, when you're choosing, you don't need to choose just one tick. It can be everything. It can be several things. But this is just to give you an idea, to guide you through the thought process, to have the best possible search and not to get lost into gazillion of options that are here. What area in Cyprus is best for me? As I mentioned, we have different areas, and if you don't know which area is best, then we would even advise for you to stay a couple of days in one area just to feel what feels best for you. Of course, important to understand the budget. How much am I willing to invest? Because very often we have requests and our potential investors say, you know what, just send us something. Imagine. So just send us something or send us everything. And because there is a variety of offering, so it's important to understand for yourself how much you're willing to invest. Property type is important. And of course, because you want to get, as you remember, our webinar is called How to Live a Dream Life, How to Live Your Dream. So go ahead and think of all the big and small requirements, include everything you want in your search. One thing also to consider, whether you want ready property or off-plan property. Why do we mention it? In this presentation, I'm not covering the difference in construction, but have in mind that 10 years ago, the construction quality and the construction standards in Cyprus were completely different from what we have now. The quality of construction improved dramatically. So in many cases, if you want to have a certain standard of the property, it could be a good idea to consider off-plan or a property under construction versus resale or ready property. But of course, everything is considered on the individual basis. Now, let's move on a little bit and we'll go to the procedure and costs. The costs that you need to consider, what are the additional costs on top of the property? With every contract, there will be a stamp duty. A stamp duty is minimal. It is less than 0.2% and it is according to the value of the property. Legal fees, because of course we would always recommend for you to involve the solicitor to consider all the paperwork and do the procedure. More or less, the charges, the legal fees are around 1%. If the property already have title deeds issued, then the transfer fees go between 1.5% to 4%. Funny enough, in all the papers, you would see that the transfer fees are between 3 to 8%, but there is a permanent discount of 50%. So for sake of simplicity, we put immediately from 1.5% to 4%. For new properties, there is VAT. The VAT in Cyprus is 19%. However, if you buy the property for your personal use and you're not planning to rent it out and generate income, then the government would give you 14% discount on your VAT. So effectively, you will only pay 5%. Okay. If we do in a nutshell the property purchase procedure, if we imagine that you already selected the property, you know what you are planning to buy, then of course we will do the check at the land registry. There will be the signing of the sale agreement. You pay the deposit, then the agreement will be deposited in the land registry, and we complete the transaction. Okay, let's do a little bit of questions and answer before I move to another part. Okay. I can see that we have lots of questions about permanent residency, and there are lots of cases about specific countries. So just to give you again the broad answer, all the European citizens and their spouses would go with the category of Europeans, the yellow slip. And when we say a couple or let's say couple, we need to understand that to fall under the categories, you need to have legal arrangement between yourself. which in Cyprus can be either marriage, and then you will need to provide the marriage certificate, or it can be civil union, which again, you can do the civil union procedure, how you call it, here in Cyprus. Okay. For all the other details, like I can see that we have specific questions, I will be able to check with our immigration lawyer and then come back later. Now, let's move to the real life cases and real life examples for you to understand what are the prices available, because in a way, everyone needs to have at least a broad understanding. What can I get for my money, and what properties can I buy? Or in a way, what money will buy me, and for what lifestyle can I look for it? And we prepared a very short selection just to give you an idea. We selected excellent properties in different areas and different lifestyles. And if you go on our website, you will even see that we tried to group the properties based on the lifestyle. Let's say the seafront, or maybe you're interested city center, or maybe it is golf properties, or maybe it's mountain views. So again, the same approach we used for our presentation today. As an example, if you like to be in an organized community, you can consider golf lifestyle. And again, it's a beautiful option, and there are lots of possibilities, different stages of development. A very famous golf course is Aphrodite Hills, and there we have lots of properties, both new and resales. And just to give you an idea, just recently we signed exclusive listings for 2-bedroom brand new apartments from 230,000 euros. In pounds, it will be just 193,000. And this option is excellent if you want to combine personal use, holiday use, and rental of the property to generate income. Maybe you would prefer to be close to the sea. This option of a 3-bedroom villa is in the suburb of Paphos, which is located just 2 minutes away from the sea, very close to all infrastructure, perfect investment option, key ready, underfloor heating, amazing finishes, prices 590,000, 3-bedroom detached house, again perfect as a permanent place or holiday place or investment rental. For this property, we had an offer from the property management company where they were calculating, and even the conservative scenario would give you about 4.5%, close to 5% of clean rental income per year with a conservative scenario of rentals. If you are looking for a more luxurious lifestyle and bigger properties, you can consider 3-bedroom golf villa in Cyprus. Again, part of an organized community with a golf course, with all the facilities, with the clubhouse, with restaurants, with spa. And again, you can see that the prices are going up. This type of properties will be close to 3 million. Again, guys, during the webinar, I can only give you some samples. I can only give you some examples to understand what you can get and what is the approximate price per square meter in different areas. Limassol, the prices in Limassol are more expensive than anywhere on the island because the demand is much higher. It's a bigger city and it's a more affluent city. So in Limassol, let's say 1-bedroom apartment can go as high as almost 400,000. But if you buy for investment, again, now, especially now, we cannot find properties for rent in Limassol for long term, even for 1,500 to 2,000 euros per month for 1-bedroom apartment. So again, excellent investment opportunity. There are many landmark construction buildings now in Cyprus. And again, sometimes some people love this style of architecture, some people hate these styles, but in Limassol you would find amazing seafront towers. We have first skyscrapers in Limassol, where you have fantastic unobstructed view from every corner of your property. And you cannot be closer to the sea, but at the same time to be in the middle of hustling and bustling city. And let's say for a 3-bedroom apartment in seafront tower, the price tag will be about 1.5 million euros. There is also a golf style in Limassol that actually is the first golf course outside Paphos area. It is only an investment option now because this is a brand new project. It is a future development, but it is the only club style development in Limassol where you can invest either for apartments or for golf villas. And it is going to be absolutely fantastic. Location is stunning. So this is something to consider. If we move to Larnaca, again, only a sample, and we only selected something that is special. So let's say you can go for a 3-bedroom apartment in Larnaca just below 500,000. I will go a bit faster because I understand that the purpose is only to give you an idea. And as you can, and we will send to all of you the recording of the webinar, and there will also be presentation where you can check, or you can always check our website where we have all the prices in real time. Ayia Napa is a more holiday destination, and again you can see that prices vary from area to area. So if in Limassol you would get 2-bedroom apartment for this money, in Limassol or in Ayia Napa, and in Paphos you can get a 3-bedroom detached property. If marina is your style, we have 2 ready marinas on the island, one in Limassol and one in Ayia Napa. So again, something to consider. And now, before I finish and before we start doing questions and answers, I want to tell you something about, again, some points how to choose the right agency. Because again, we are talking about investment of a huge amount of money, and it's important to have a good partner who would help you with this search. So when we were thinking about this presentation, we were debating between ourselves, why would someone work with an agent? Is it possible to buy a property without a local agent? And of course, the answer is yes. Yes, you can buy the property directly. But of course, to do it properly, you will need to spend lots and lots of time. So if you work with agencies, of course, you would save your time. So this provides time efficiency. What is extremely important is also local knowledge, because everything you need to understand regional characteristic, understanding the area, if the area is suitable, are there any hidden disadvantages, local amenities, schools, hospitals, shops. Of course, all the people who work in our company, they live here. So you will be able to check the personal experience. For example, with me, my parents live here, my children were born here, now go to school. So it's not only what I am reading in the book or on the internet, it's actually what we live and breathe. So local knowledge, we believe, is extremely important, and professional experience. Every broker in our company knows real estate market, again, inside out. We know about legal questions. We are checking every property that we put on our books. All this brings a lower risk for you. When you invest, the risk goes much lower. And of course, there is a wide property choice because we have our listed properties, we have lots of off-market properties where the owners prefer not to advertise their properties, but to have them off market. And we also have excellent upcoming opportunities. And now, to make a little switch from my narration, and also if you don't mind helping us to become better, I would ask you to do a very short survey just to tell us what, in your opinion, is important. What is important for you? So if you can, hold on a second, does it work? So if you can answer very quickly the questions, I would be very, very grateful. Okay. And we have here the questions. What is important for you? Is it time efficiency? Is it local knowledge? Is it professional expertise, risk, or the wide property database? Or maybe there is something else that we haven't considered. And in the meantime, I can comment on the question from, well, no, actually, I will leave it. I almost finished. So, Mr. Hans, please bear with me just 2-3 minutes, and then I will come back to your questions and we'll definitely comment on it. Thank you very much for voting. It is so interesting, and I will share with you the results. But what I can see now, that the most important factor for everyone is the professional expertise, local knowledge, and the property database. So it means that we will become better and we will put more emphasis on these points. Okay, just to give you, share the results, if you can see. And let's go back to our presentation. So when you decided that you will work with the agent, there are several points that you need to check. The first important thing is you need to check whether the agency is licensed. You need to check the experience, the field experience, whether the team or the leader or the members of the team, how long they've been in the area. Where is the agency located? Because very often we have cases when people are working with agents working in their country. So let's say you work with an agency located in London or in Munich, and they don't live in Cyprus, they do not have the local knowledge. It's important to understand if there is a physical office, how serious is the company, the check of reputation, whether the client whether the agents are willing to listen to you and hear you. Because in our experience and what we aim, that good agent is your property advisor. Our first and foremost job is to bring you value, to be your trusted property advisor who will be looking for your best interests. The buying process in Cyprus is actually very easy. So the first thing, you need to understand what you want, and the checklist that we covered will help you in this process. Important to engage real advisor of your choice. What is very important, guys, when you decide that you want to consider buying a property, you need to prepare for your trip regardless of where you are located. When you move funds to Cyprus, you need to provide clear source of funds documents, and it's much better if you can do it in advance so you're prepared, so you're not losing time. You know that the banks will ask for it. If you are applying for permanent residency, it is advisable to understand what documents you need to prepare and have them with you. Then, of course, next trip is either trip to Cyprus or another option to make it even more efficient. We can offer to you online viewings of your long list or even the short list so you can understand what is suitable or not. When you're in Cyprus or online, we do the viewing of the selected properties and help you choose the right property for you. We always advise to appoint a local solicitor, and we are now going to have an in-house solicitor, which makes the process even more straightforward. Next step, you pay the reservation deposit to withdraw the property from the market, because the market for good properties is very active. That's why it is important to take the property from the market, fix the price, and know that you have time to discuss all the points of sale agreement. And then you have signing of the sale agreement, deposit it in the land registry, and then complete the purchasing process. And the final step is the best. The final step, which is the most important, is that you enjoy your new home and dreamline in Cyprus. How, if you are interested to start this process, or maybe even to consider further whether Cyprus is suitable, our company, we're trying to work in a very efficient manner. So the first thing, we would arrange a personal online consultation with our property expert. It will normally takes about 30 minutes and it's completely free, where you can discuss your goals, ask any questions about Cyprus, if Cyprus is suitable for these goals. And because we are members of international network, if let's say we see that Cyprus is not the best solution, we would be able to advise you of other countries and even refer you to other offices of Sotheby's International Realty. We would help you and do it together, prepare for the trip, arrive in Cyprus, and assist you in viewing and selecting property. We guide and assist you through the whole services. And what is very important, our communication and our cooperation does not end when you started enjoying your home. We actually help you further as well. And if at one point you decide that you want to move or you want to change something, we would be very happy to sell your investment in the future and market the property for you. And this is the end of the presentation. I managed to do it within 1 hour. And now if you have any questions, please put them through and I will answer now about Northern Cyprus. As a company, we do not work in Northern Cyprus because, as you know, we still have this division, Southern Cyprus and Northern Cyprus. Southern Cyprus, or sometimes it's called Greek part, this is the part which is officially under European Union, and it follows all the laws and the procedures. So that's why we are represented only in the southern part. Do we have any other questions? Thank you, Judith. We'll be very happy to have a Zoom call. Well, in this case, thank you very much for your time. I'm very grateful that you dedicated this hour and spent it with us. We will be contacting you with our follow-up calls, and we would like to invite you to Cyprus. and welcome you in our offices, either in Paphos or in Limassol. And in the meantime, please stay safe and hopefully see you one day in Cyprus. Bye.